Good evening, respected guests and dignitaries. On behalf of Lead Start and the Telegraph, I cordially welcome you to the Evening Tales, a very thought-provoking session. আগামীকাল বাংলার নববর্ষ, তাই আপনাদের সকলকে নববর্ষের অগ্রিম শুভেচ্ছা, প্রীতি, ভালোবাসা এবং শ্রদ্ধা। I pray you stay well and stay healthy. In fact, the event we are going to present today, we have been planning for this event for more than 1 month. And we all know that man proposes and God disposes. We are not very lucky because two of our eminent panelists, Borun Chando and Obhik Chando, could not be here today because of COVID reasons. So we all wish them good health, and we also wish them a good life. Now this kind of inspires me to see that kind of turnout we have today, despite such a very critical situation. So I think before we start the evening's program, I will feel very, very, kind of inspired to give all of you, on behalf of Lead Start and Telegraph and everybody concerned, a standing ovation for the audience, for the dignitaries, for the guests. Can we just give a standing ovation to you, ladies and gentlemen? Because it's really, really very encouraging to have so many of you today, because we were a little apprehensive whether there'll be a turnout, but we have a fantastic turnout. Now, the evening tales. This is an evening of understanding. This is an evening of analysis, interpretation, and internalization. This is an evening of perceptions and perspectives, which are the two major pillars of consciousness. And we all know, regarding consciousness, Rabindranath wrote an excellent poem called Ami. And he says, Amari chetona ronge panna holo shobuj, chuni utlo ranga hoye. Ami chok belnum akashe jole utlo alo pube poschime, golapet dike cheye bollum sundor, sundor holo she. So this সৌন্দর্যের চেতনা, এই ভালোবাসার চেতনা, and this সৌন্দর্য is beauty, consciousness of beauty. Beauty is truth, truth beauty, says John Keats. এই চেতনা নিয়েই we are going to present the evening tales today. This is also an evening of a very successful civil engineer who is the center of attraction of this evening, who has mastered the inner engineering of human minds. He is Sabarna Roy, and I think before I invite him, he deserves, and we would like to give him a big round of applause for being the center of attraction of the evening tales. His inimitable style, his lateral thinking, intuitive mind, his postmodern thoughts, his existential belief, his effortless ability to explore different genres of literature undoubtedly make him a world-class literature of modern times. He's much awarded, critically acclaimed, and so far written 7 extraordinary literary works: Pentacles, Frosted Glass, Abyss, Fractured Mosaic, Winter Poems, Random Subterranean Mosaic 2012-2018, etchings of the first quarter of 2020. And imagine within this short period of a decade how many awards he have already in his kitty. He got Literoma Laureate Award in 2019, Literoma Star Achiever Award in 2020. His Random Subterranean Mosaic won the Best Book of 2019 from salismania.com. He is a Goodreads author with present rating of 4.05 with reviews and ratings in excess of 1,000. And on Amazon, he is rated between 4 and 5 with reviews and ratings in excess of 500. He was an invited speaker on the opening day of Noida International Literary Festival 2019 and a panelist at the Tata Steel Literary Meet on the opening day at a session which discussed dark side of the mind. He has visited national and international conferences to talk on ecology and environment. All these just within a decade. That is just a glimpse of Sabarna Roy, and he is one of the winners of the Champions of Change 2020 award for his invaluable contribution in the field of culture, given out by Interactive Forum on Indian Economy, supported by the Government of India. And this award will be presented to Sabarna Roy by the Governor of Maharashtra and Goa at Goa on April 16th. He'll be flying to Goa tomorrow to collect this national award. And here, we would like to mention that today, as our guest of honor, we have a very talented performing artist and also a director, Churni Ganguly. Unfortunately, her son has COVID positive, so she could not be present personally, but she will be available on Zoom virtually. About Churni, I don't think she needs any introduction because I'm very fortunate, I'm very privileged to have shared screen space with Churni long time back in a 4-episode series, TV series, Roop, a story written by Ramapada Chaudhuri, directed by Ashok Vishwanathan. And then subsequently, I could act with her in Anjan Datta's Biday Shargo. Churni is a unique actor. She has an inimitable style, and she's so unpredictable that she really creates an impact the moment she's there on screen. And apart from acting, I did not know when I first saw her film Nibbashito, it was outstanding, and no wonder she got national award for this film. So she will be here on Zoom very soon. And we're also delighted to have another panelist who is also versatile and multi-talented. You all know her because you have seen her time and again on stage, on television, and she is a professor of English and a newsreader, a music exponent, a singer, a critic, music critic, and also an anchor, stage anchor, Madhumonti Moitro. So may I request Madhumonti Moitro to be on stage with, let's give her a big hand when she takes the stage. I think the clap should continue till such time she reaches the chair. And now the stage is set. She is already there to welcome Sabarna Roy to be at the center of attraction. And before we invite Churni Ganguly, ladies and gentlemen, let me just give you an idea how this program will flow. So we will begin with Churni Ganguly's little bit of whatever she wants to say, a few words, and her readings, which will be followed by a conversation between Madhumonti Moitro and Sabarna Roy, and then it will be open to the floor. You can ask questions to the author. And then I'll have the privilege and honor to have a little bit of very short period of interaction with the author. And once again, it will be open to the floor. And then there'll be vote of thanks. And finally, there'll be a video essay, Mosaic of Death. It is dedicated to the author's father. And the narration is by Sabarna Roy. and edited and directed by Abhishek Kundu. And then we'll have dinner. So now the stage is entirely yours, Madhumunti. You can start your. Sorry, I think before we start, we will invite Churni Ganguly. She's already there. All right. Hello, Churni.
Thank you very much for your kind words. It's not just a formality. I
You
think,
deserve more.
no, I deserve to be there, but I'm missing. Oh, wonderful. We have such a wonderful audience there. A very good evening to all of you present. I'm so sorry that I couldn't make it today, and I was really hoping to come over and be a part of this evening. Um, Thank you so much, Mr. Sabarna Roy, for wanting to have me over. And congratulations on your books, your awards. Thank you very much, Telegraph, Lead Start, for inviting me, and Candid Communication, of course, for your persistence. I must also thank the publishers and I guess the organizers and Mr. Rai for presenting me with your books, which I thoroughly enjoyed reading. I'm not here to analyze what the books are all about, because it's not enough that it comes from me now. I particularly loved the randomness of the journal entries, and that is what journal entries are supposed to be. They're supposed to be random and honest, and every entry was a surprise from the one to the next, because they were apparently unrelated, and though there was a method in the madness, but they were unrelated, and they ranged from being a few pages long to even 2 lines long. And they could be just about anything about life, just the way we write diaries, musings on life, as he calls it, as the author prefers to call them. So every time I finished a chapter, I was waiting to read the next, go on to the next, and find out what the next one was all about. So I will be reading out something, because you get a slice of the author's mind, his thoughts, his soul. And I would like to read out a part that he confesses what he's like. And I think I relate very easily to this part this is from Fractured Mosaic. And he writes, "Nowadays, I cannot argue beyond the point of making my case. I lose steam before I lose conviction. Another proof that I have become an old man. A long time ago, I was a good debater when I served anger wrapped in my words. Nowadays, I love listening to various points of view. I make my opening move and then withdraw with a feeling of resignation. I am always searching for words while talking in a group. But I am very comfortable writing. Silence, locked inside a cold, deathly silent room, with random thoughts passing through my mind like a northwesterly wind. Silence excites thoughts." Continuing on this mood of silence, there's one poem I particularly liked. Morning, the ultramarine sky makes me cry. Day, losses, defeats, ambush, and retreats. The evening is misty. The night is frosty. From my lonely window, I watch the moving lights and shadows outside, taking a deep breath and lamenting the passing away of another day, the passing away of another night. Resigned for sleep, wishing this sleep will take me away. Maybe. Lovely. It's so lucid, and so it touches the heart, really. Before I sign off and I'd like to just read out one bit here. It's an inspiration I take in these times. My son, as Biplabda says, has tested positive for COVID, and we are homebound, stuck at home, and I'm the only caregiver. So he writes about COVID, and this is just a little part. Thank you for your inspiration, Mr. Rai. Parents have to lead by example in these trying times. They have to be patient, imaginative, intuitive, innovative, and should never lose their mind. They have to participate. They cannot remain mere counselors. Thank you so much.
Before you sign off, Churni, first of all, from all of us, we all wish that Ujan, recovers very fast. And if you have any kind of, I won't say questions, but anything you want to share with Sabarna Roy, anything that,
I was really looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah,
But that was, I guess, as you said, it's not ordained that it
but
should
you are
be
virtually meeting him. You are
Yes,
yeah.
we are. We all are. Yes.
Yeah. So if you have anything to ask, any interaction you want to have,
I'd
please
just like to tell him that I also write better than I speak. And how well I write is a matter of question, but I prefer not to speak. I prefer to write also.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Anything
And
else?
Modhubun Didi, I wish I could meet you also today. It's been so long. I was wishing that I could meet all of you again today. You, Biplabda.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
Shubho
but
Novoborshu to all of you
Shubho
and to
Novoborshu.
everyone present.
Shubho Novoborshu
there.
to you
absolutely,
too.
and I do get daily updates on Ujan from Anusha, so all the best to him. I'm sure all of you are going to come out of the tunnel very soon.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Churni.
sorry
Yeah.
for not being able to make it.
Yeah, we all missed you. Yeah.
So-
Thank you very much, Churni. And now, can I request Mudhumunti to sort of carry on her conversation with Sabarna Roy and readings and whatever you want to do.
Thank you so much, Biplabda. Sabarna, of course, was a revelation to me when I attended his program. That was in February. February 12th, absolutely. So I had this wonderful opportunity of reading his books, and even before I had read all of them, maybe I had read a couple at that time, I had a chance of a conversation with him. And let me tell you that in that conversation, he was not searching for words. It was it is always wonderful when the author shares his convictions and, the kind of inspiration, the kind of direction that he wishes to take his works into with the audience or with the reader. It is wonderful because, of course, you make your own assumptions, but then you find that the author had something much, much deeper in mind. So the first thing that I asked him was about his chosen genre. Of course, he's written all kinds of literary types, be it poetry, be it a novella, plays, everything. But I suppose his strongest forte, or perhaps something that in which he indulges most, are what he calls the musings. The musings have adjectives before it. It may be crazy, it may be all kinds of things, but musings and journal entries of a lazy author. And of course, as you know, that two of his books include the word mosaic in it. So I had asked him that why did you sort of commit yourself so deeply to this particular direction or to this particular type, where, all kinds of thoughts, perceptions, received wisdom, nuggets of sort of memories, they all come together to form a wonderful kaleidoscope, a mosaic. So I would like you to share the answer that you gave me on that day.
Well, to be very frank, I have forgotten what I said on that day. But I'll tell you something. Long back in my childhood, Oscar Wilde used to be one of my most favorite readers. And Oscar Wilde had an array of journal entries, journals, diaries, which he did not expose. But he used to often say that if I have to travel by railway somewhere, I carry my diaries for the simple reason that there should be something sensational to read while on the journey. So what surprises you is your own writings, what you thought at one point in time intended for yourself. And in fact, in 2018, when I discussed with my publisher about opening out my journal entries, they were not too keen on publishing them because some of them they felt had very radical adult content. So I said that you should not be worried. The one who should be worried is myself, because I'm going to be spanked by my wife for all this content. But then, everything fell through, and Random Subterranean Mosaic was published, and a lot of editing was done by a wonderful editor, Sita Bhaskar, who still continues to work with me, and was released at Oxford Bookstore by Mona Sengupta and Shushrut Sarkar, and they did a wonderful job. And after that, in fact, that was the first time I came out of my shell in becoming public. So I have been writing since 2000, at least my books have been getting published since 2010, but I have been reticent, not confident about my writings till 2019, in fact. But somebody convinced me to come out of my shell and said that you should be on the public platform now, because otherwise you will not be able to increase your book sales beyond a point. Now, to talk about the mosaic genre in some detail, I'll say 2-3 sentences that, normally a mind does not think. Thoughts come to the mind. This is not my quote, this is Nietzsche's quote. Nietzsche has worked on how thoughts work in the mind. So, and if we follow our own mind, we will find that minds hop from genres to formats to models to subjects in a random manner. And within this chaos, the integral part, that it is your own mind that is working. One interesting thing we discussed during the publication of Random Subterranean Mosaic was the sequencing of the events. Now, initially, my editor said, let's have the food articles in one slot. Let's have the travelogues in one slot. Let's have the political articles in one slot. Let's have the atomic tiny stories in one slot. Then I said that this is not the way I wrote. Let's go by the chronology of the events. That is how I existed. So when I read my own book, actually I write for myself to get a pleasure for myself. I don't write for my readers, frankly. uh, to be very honest. If readers read the books, that's fine. Otherwise, I write for myself. So when I pick up random subterranean mosaic today, I feel this is the way I thought. Now that gives me back my own personality to myself. Fractured Mosaic followed the same pattern, but now I am not writing the eighth book that I am writing now is a play. And I want to write something romantic. I have not written anything romantic, and I'm also getting old. So I want to live my desires through a play. So that's it. That's all about it.
I found a very, very interesting line in this, whatever he had to say about choosing the mosaic genre, that I write for myself, not for the readers so much. Now, that is very interesting. Only yesterday, I was reading one or two lines that Samuel Beckett had sort of revealed about his writing. He was notoriously withdrawn. He never said or tried to analyze or tried to involve the readers or the members of the audience in his plays. So he used this quote from Ovid, and strangely enough, it's such a coincidence. I was just reading it yesterday, and today he says that. Ovid had said, nec se tetum, nec se te. Not without you, not with you. So do you have that kind of a relationship, a certain disengagement with the readers?
Yeah, I have. In fact, I'm a great fan of Beckett, and in fact, in my university days, we planned out some of his plays, could not do them altogether, because in those days, our wisdom was very limited to understand Beckett's plays. But yes, yeah, I'm not only disengaged from my readers, beyond a point, I'm very, very disengaged with what I write, because when I try to remember the happenings of New Life in Pentacles, I'm almost forgetful of what I had written. In fact, I'm absolutely forgetful of even Fractured Mosaic, which is my last book. I enjoy the process of writing. When I'm writing, I'm very deeply engaged, because that is where I know the silence will work through me, and I'll be able to unload my thoughts very peacefully somewhere. So, yes, not only I'm disengaged from my readers, I'm also disengaged from my own writings. In fact, in 2012, a woman critic had read my Frosted Glass, and she felt that I was a sexual pervert. Now, I said that if you think so, go on. She wanted to take my approval for writing so in her blog. I said, please go on. If you feel this way, please go on and write it. I'm not going to approve or disapprove, because those are your thoughts. I may feel you have not understood me well, and if I'm a sexual pervert, so what? I have my fundamental rights as well. So that's it. Yeah, I'm disengaged from my readers, I'm disengaged from my critics. But yes, if somebody comes out with a negative criticism which hits me, I will definitely like to discuss those things with people.
Biplabda, this is a very, very rare occasion where every one of you present in the audience have read his books and are definitely fond of his writing, sort of engaged in his literary process, let's say. So should we take this opportunity of requesting the audience to participate if they have any particular thing to say? Why should we, Biplabda, me and Churni, why should we only sort of ask questions. The audience has every right to do so and are perhaps much better qualified to do so. Yes? Anyone from the, or many one, I should say, from the audience would like to do that?
I think somebody there.
Last row, yes.
Good evening. I'm Ritvika. I have almost read really all of your books. One thing which I really like about your book is your love for your roots, Calcutta and Bengal, and as a Bengali as well. So most of your characters I find that are either, the protagonists are either Bengali or they belong to the city of Kolkata. So I can't stop asking you on this forum, how much of Bangaliana do we see in author Sabarna Roy and his characters, and what motivates you to write English tales or English literary pieces, keeping Bengal or Bengalis in the front?
Well, thank you for the question, Ritika. You see, I'm deeply Bengali at heart. Okay. My sensibilities are of Bengal, especially Calcutta, because this is a city I love so much, and I feel complete belongingness to this city. To the extent that I did not take up a job at UN New York headquarters, which would give me a G3 visa by which I could enter any country, just because I thought I will be dysfunctional if I'm not in this city. In that sense, I am in the legacy of Satyajit Ray, because he also got an offer from Columbia Pictures, and he had to sign a contract for $1 million US, and he said that if I'm brought out of Indrapuri studios, I think I'll not be able to work. So, well, my wife did not agree to this so much, but then I felt in New York I will be completely 6 months of extreme cold, not being able to socialize well with people. That would keep me off, and that will turn off my creative sensibilities as well. So yes, today I have a chance to say that I'm a complete Bengali at heart. Food-wise, of course. But why do I write in English? It's also because that I must tell you that between 1974 and 1982, I studied in Sacred Heart Convent School, Ludhiana. In fact, I have not studied Bengali in school curriculum at all. I've studied Hindi and English. So gradually, in fact, when I started, when I wrote my journal entries in my school days, I used to write in English. But when I came back to Calcutta, I was in Narendrapur Ramakrishna Mission, and in Jadavpur University, after I went to Jadavpur University, I started meddling with literary activities because I found that was a good way to come closer to beautiful women. So I used to write poetry at that time, Bengali as well, bad Bengali. But still, I would say that my poems were published in Baromash, even Ekon, many places. But you know, after 2000, I stopped reading Bengali almost completely, Bengali literature almost completely. By 2005, I was not thinking in Bengali at all. I was thinking in English. And when I started writing seriously in 2007, June, I thought if I think in English, writing in English would be the best option. So I started writing in English. But being a Bengali at heart, to have a protagonist whose surname is Srivastava would be very difficult for me to write. So I thought it is better to have a upper caste Brahmin, like a Banerjee, or some Vaishya like Shaha, like all this. So yes, I love writing about Bengali people because those are the people I know best. Thank you.
Biplabda, can I invite you onto the stage? We are going to read very, very small excerpts from Abyss. Abyss is a play, but somehow it reads like a film script, Chitronattor moto. So, Biplabda, would you just like to, I'm sure every one of you have read it, but just in 2 lines, if you want to introduce Abyss.
It's a fantastic thriller based on dualities of relationship, conflicts of relationship, betrayal, trust, empathy, everything. And 3 primary characters, and when I'll have a conversation with Sabarna Roy, I'm very curious to know, despite the fact that he, as he said, that he always gets disengaged, I will ensure that he comes back and thinks about the characters. So the basic protagonists are Mriganko, Oindrila, and Devosri. Oindrila and Mriganko are lovers. Mriganko is waiting to meet Oindrila's mother and waiting for her approval as her would-be son-in-law. How long do I have to wait for your ma? Was she serious when she said she wanted to meet me?
Of course. Of course she was dead serious and is. Don't get impatient, darling.
Oindrila, how long have I been waiting here? Tell me. It's already 2 hours that I'm sitting here waiting for her.
You sound as if you're sitting on a railway station. You can talk to me, you can read a book, you can watch soap on the TV. If you're sporting enough, you can tell me about the latest book you're writing.
No, Indrila. Meeting your ma is a job that has to be done well. I'm trying my best to keep myself alert. I don't want to be distracted. I fear my performance could suffer.
You are very, very tense.
Yes, I am, no doubt.
Why? She's definitely not a monster.
Frankly, that's the image I've got of her from whatever I've heard from you. She's on your nerves, and now she's on my nerves.
How can you say that? She's not on my nerves. Never. Well, she has her ways of pushing me through difficult things. That's because she wants me to succeed in life. Sometimes she does. She piles her choices on me. That's fairly understandable, I suppose. Look at her life. You'll know why she does that.
Oh, Indrila, spare me at least for now. Call her, can you? Find out how long she'll take to reach home.
I called her only 10 minutes back. I told you. She was held up in a last-minute urgent meeting. Now she's struggling through a traffic jam near Park Circus. She will be home in the next half an hour, positively. Cheer up, will you? It makes me laugh to think that an irreverential writer like you can get so fidgety before meeting your would-be mother-in-law for the first time.
You see, the dilemma is your ma's approval of me so critical to you, and I hate you for that.
Oh?
Yes, but I cannot think of losing you on any account. How irreverential it is for a writer.
It's a way of using an adjective, making a judgment of the writer by what he writes. Very often converse judgments are also made, that is, judging a piece of writing based on what you know and think of the writer. I'm smart enough to know that both could be damningly erroneous.
I love you for your terrifying smartness. Are you trying to tell me that I'm an asshole?
And what would that make me if you were one?
A bag load of shit to fill up this asshole?
Ah, dirty fella. Tell me, are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm a bit uncomfortable, as if I'm going to give up my sovereignty, laying myself up to outside scrutiny. You know, the first time you told me about meeting your ma and seeking her approval of me, I thought of giving you up.
Seriously?
Yes, seriously. I hated this idea of approval in love and consensual marriage or live in whatever.
So what made you change your mind? Go on, I'm listening.
My love for you? That's pompous. Cut it out. Slowly, I understood how important your ma is to you.
See, it's like this. Her sanction of you, which I believe she will give in any case, will make all three of us more peaceful and bound to each other.
That's very romantic. Unfortunately, I do not share your view, Indrila. The larger point is your ma does not like me. You have been constantly saying this to me. In fact, you had to pester her, precisely threaten her for today's appointment. She would be meeting me very reluctantly, I'm sure.
See, she's making the task for her and for us, of course, more difficult so that the reconciliation is all the more pleasing, satisfying.
That's very, very romantic once again. Unfortunately, Indrila, I do not share your view. So she thinks I will be a wrong influence on you.
How can you say that?
I can make it out from what I hear from you about her views on me.
What?
She does not want her would-be son-in-law to be parentless, siblingless, with a decent inheritance, a passion for writing, and unsettled in his writing career, but with a promise as on the date of marriage. That is clear.
Those are her general observations. She will change her opinion after she meets you. I'm sure of that.
Indrila, the question is, if she disapproves of me, what will you do? Will you cancel me out, abandon me?
Such a situation cannot arise. Don't be so cynical. I'm her daughter. She has stood by me always. She'll not play with my happiness. She knows how much I love you.
How much?
We move on to page 45. By that time, already things have become very, very different from what it appeared at the beginning of the book. And this is a conversation between Mriganko and Debosri, that is Oindrila's mother.
You need to counsel her.
Why don't you counsel her?
That's not my job. If I do it, she will know I'm sold off to you. In such a case, she will refuse to meet me in the future. We don't talk much nowadays except for the manuscript reading sessions I have with her on and off basis. She also questioned me on many things.
Like what?
Like, why should you open a publishing business all of a sudden with such huge capital outlay? Why am I publishing my new book with you? Why am I ditching my core group of friends who have been publishing my work with such zeal until now?
So what do you tell her?
I tell her it's my life. I never committed to my friends that I would publish with them forever. Regarding your publishing house, I have urged her to put that question to you.
No. If you talk so brashly to her, she'll know that you don't love her anymore.
My talking style is consistent. You don't have to worry about that.
Tell me, when did you stop loving her? Or were you never in love with her?
I don't know.
And then finally, there is a lady sleuth, Renuka, who is looking after this case. And there's this
Case
final...
means Oindrila has been killed.
Oindrila
is dead. Killed or
Oindrila
whatever.
is dead, whether it's a suicide
Yes,
or
investigation
a murder.
is going on.
The investigation is going on. And there's this final conversation between Renuka, the sleuth, and Debusri, Oindrila's mother. So I guess I'll have to do both.
Yes.
So Renuka says, like you could never come out of your abyss of greed, you could never come out of your abyss of lust. Debusri says, it was not lust alone, Renuka. There was also love in it. I'm carrying Mriganko's child. I I don't believe even you could go this far. Are you truly disintegrating or making an act? Are you carrying this child to prove your point of love? Why should I do that? To cajole me to change my verdict publicly. You know that I don't hate you as much as I should. So if you could make an impression of some sincerity and sensitivity by acting out penance, your gamble is whether I would reiterate out of sympathy for you the original finding of the police that Oindrila had committed suicide. Such things never cross my mind. Is there a way to conclude it without a doubt? I must tell you something. Tell me. I will submit my report and findings comprehensively. It will speak the truth as I know it.
So again, truth. Now, you'll read a piece. No, but you were supposed to read a piece from here. Yeah.
No, I first, I think Madhu Muntidi said, Biplabda said that this more or less reads like a screenplay. When I first narrated the draft of the story to my wife on phone, I was to write a scenario, a screenplay. And then when I wrote something, I understood that I'm not good at writing a screenplay or a scenario. So I changed the entire thing into a play. But some of my friends and colleagues also feel that this should be made into a film. But unfortunately, I don't have the skill or the resources to make a film. My daughter is an additional director and a filmmaker, would-be filmmaker. So if she makes a film on this, that would be fine, nice enough.
The piece that I wanted to read out, share with you, was, as Sabarna said very, very lucidly, that it is an atomic story. That is very, very minuscule, but of course, it's a very, very, let's say, traditional short story in the sense that it leaves a lot of things unsaid which would engage the mind of the reader once the story is over. Rahul has vanished into thin air. One evening, Rahul vanished from his home in Calcutta. As I was a close friend and confidant to Rahul, according to his wife and family, they would obviously and desperately hound me for any trace of information. If at all, I had any clue where he could have headed towards. Frankly, I had no clue. But I did suppress two pieces of information. One, that he often showed interest to me about the North Sentinel Island. For the uninitiated, I was one. North Sentinel Island is one of the Andaman Islands, which includes the South Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal. It is home to the Sentinelese, who often violently reject any contact with the outside world and are among the last people worldwide to remain virtually untouched by modern civilization. And number two, that he would repeatedly lament in front of me in private. My life's journey was to meet, albeit accidentally maybe, a person who would find me unique. I have realized no one ever has found me unique, including my children. I am tired of my journey. I'm getting old now. Maybe after all, I'm average. I want to escape this journey, abandon it forever. I argued with him about the absurdity of the idea of uniqueness in postmodern world, but I failed. He would see no reason or rationale. Rahul's corpse was recovered from the Andaman Islands after the government of India got involved in the case. He was a high-profile chartered accountant. A memorial ceremony was organized by his family, friends, and professional associates. I attended it. Everybody commented about his uniqueness in many areas. Even I, in my brief speech, said Rahul was a uniquely truthful friend, which I had never mentioned to him during his lifetime, in spite of being a chartered accountant professionally. Rahul's ghost visited me a few nights afterwards. I told him, "You must have realized now how death constructs a wonderful level playing field for all of us." Biplabda would now continue the evening's tales.
Before I have a very brief conversation with the author, once again, it is to the floor. I personally feel after I heard that Sabarna Roy said that he gets disengaged with his writings as well, and also the readers, he becomes more intriguing to me. You know, I personally feel when an author writes something, it is the reader who interprets because the author is not present there. But when the author is present here, I think trying to probe into his inner self, his soul, is definitely a kind of, what should I say, an intention of a reader or a viewer. So if you have any question or questions, please, yes.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I am Tapanda to Sabarna. Sabarna, I have a question, which was when you were narrating about your journey. You said you started writing before 2010, and after 2018, rather you mentioned that 2019, you were within your cell. You were not coming out from yourself. And you also at the same time did mention that you disengage yourself totally from the readers, but looking at the readers and all the lovers of you, I don't think you can really disengage yourself from the readers, though you may try. But my question is something different. You said 2019, someone did convince you to come out of yourself, then you appeared publicly. So as all of us, from all of us, my question as one of your readers and the lover also of your writings, we'd like to know who was the person who motivated you or rather convinced you to come out publicly and which we are enjoying all of us today. Thank you.
Tapanda, I'll whisper that to you in your ears while you are taking dinner, because that would not be possible for me to spell here. For obvious reasons, you understand. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay, actually I have two quick questions. First one, Sabarna. Out of all the genres that you deal with, that is meanderings, short pieces, stories, poetry, plays, which is your favorite?
My favorite is writing conversations.
Conversations.
Conversations, because I think I'm good at it.
By conversations, you mean
Like in
random?
Dr. X and Mr. Y. Those kind of conversations I like writing.
Okay, part of random subterranean mosaic, etc. And you also like poetry?
Yeah, I love poetry, but you know, when my friends tell me that you are a natural poet, I feel a bit let down because, you know, in the depth of my mind, somewhere I feel poetry is an easier art.
Okay, no, my question that I was getting at really, the first one, was if these are your favorite forms, why are you writing a play again?
You see, it's also because that the plot that has come to my mind, I think I will be able to do justice to it best if I write a play. That's the simple reason.
Okay.
And I don't want to, just I'm interrupting you, Indriladi, I don't want to write poetry for a very long time now.
Okay. We take that as a lack of inspiration, maybe. Okay. All these genres that you deal with, again, in Random Subterranean Mosaic and Fractured Mosaic, it's almost like a kaleidoscopic, collision of thoughts about places. I mean, you've gone from Nero's in Jaipur to Chilka, Gulmarg, Banaras, Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir, so much. The Beatles. I wanted to ask you, what is the process of writing? You don't keep a diary, you had said.
No, I do keep a
You
diary.
do keep a diary.
I do
Okay.
keep a diary.
So when you note your thoughts about this, it is later that you sit down and put it into a literary form,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
As
And some of them are also put in a literary form at that point in time.
Okay. Because I said this in a book session that I conducted. You know, Plutarch had said long ago that the mind is not a vessel just to be filled. It's a fire to be ignited. And it's almost as if you are giving those little signals to your readers to be interested in so many different things.
Yeah.
So that was my second question. And before I end, I'm going to cast the cat amongst the pigeons. It's good to be disengaged. I know a lot of authors are. You become disengaged because there's too much thought and rethought that goes into what you write. But if you're not interested at all in readers, then you don't publish at all. So I'm sure you're interested in readers. Otherwise, you'd keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done with my questions.
I think here I need to say something. When I wrote my first 4 books, I was genuinely disinterested with my readers. You know how my books sold? Because I studied in Sacred Heart Convent School, and the richest of the rich studied there, and they were my friends, and I would send my Amazon link or Flipkart link to them, and they would buy 2,000 or 1,500 copies for the corporate gifts of their companies. So my publisher said, "What have you done in Punjab that so many books get sold there?" I said, "Don't worry, nobody reads them. They're just gifts." All right? So while my publisher was happy selling them, but gradually I understood with where I come to Tapunda's point, that somebody told me, a good friend of mine, that while it is good to be, just the way you are saying, that while it is good to be disinterested in with your readers, but just because you are publishing, if you don't engage with your readers, you will not learn beyond a point. The craft of writing also needs to improve if you engage with your readers. To that extent, yes, of course. Now I do a lot of public programs, sessions, go to literary meets and all that, online or offline.
And I think Oxford started that, which was a great thing.
Yeah, and you moderated that event.
Thanks so much.
All right, any more question from the audience? Yes, please.
I would just like to add one line, which perhaps Sabarna could not say out of modesty, that although he may engage with the readers in terms of public programs, interactions, he still writes on his own terms. That is not dictated by the reader. I suppose
Yeah, I will read a piece which will bear testimony to that. Yeah.
Should I ask?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So Sabarna wanted me to ask questions. I don't know why, because I always ask questions and I give the answers. He knows me very well. So if the answer is not to my choice, I give the answers myself. So, but until the last moment when I came down here, he wanted me to ask question, and he gave me choice of questions too. But I am a difficult examiner. I said, no, not these questions, because you know, must be knowing the answers. So I'll ask you something, Sabarna, what I really wanted to know from you. So having known you maybe from the closest quarters, you are quite traveled a lot in this journey of fame, you know, from 2019 onwards till date, every day maybe one step up. So I would like to ask you how this fame, I'm just using the word fame only, is affecting you as a person, your relationships, and most importantly, your writing. Would you be a more conscious writer now, a more responsible writer now? Would you like to be a popular writer now? Is it that, or you will just write as you wrote? So this is the question.
I will write on my own terms. Nothing affects me.
Okay.
I'm only fearful of being jailed or imprisoned if a power comes to power on May 2nd. But otherwise, I will write on my own terms. I'll continue to write on my own terms.
And there was additional questions too, like your personality as a person, your relationships, how is it
Well,
going
of
to
course, I'll be
affect?
very boastful with you. I'll be very proud of myself. I'll boast about myself in front of you, but to others, no. I'll be as humble as I was before.
Okay. So that was really an honest answer, I must say. Okay, my question finishes here. So I got my answer good.
Yeah, please pass on the microphone.
Mr. Roy, I just...
You can call me Sabarna. Mr. Roy is something which disturbs me a lot.
Okay, Sabarna. Madhumanti just read a short story. I mean, maybe a short, I think it was a story.
Yeah.
So I want to know if sometime in your life you were in the shoes of Rahul and wanted to be unique. Did you want to be unique? Do you still want to be unique?
Well, I wanted to be unique at one point in time. And today I understand that it is very difficult, futile wanting to be unique. You can be unique otherwise, but it's futile wanting to be unique.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
Hi, Sabarna. It's me, Abhishek. I've been working with you for quite some time, so I find your writing because I am a designer and a film director, so I do doodling quite some time. Whenever I feel like I do doodles. So I find your random, way of writing, and I find it very, very chaotic also. So I would like to, even I have read a couple of your, writings which is quite not at all fiction, a lot of non-fiction information into it also. So I would like to say that, what do you feel that when you write about, especially the non-fiction part, how do you feel that how it's going to affect the society? Because I find it, I find in the writing, I find that you give, there is kind of a hidden solution into your, problem, the solution, the problem that society is facing right now.
Well, I don't think I give solutions per se, but yeah, of course, everything affects us. I wrote a poem, NH44, in response to the farmers' protest. It was read out in the farmers' protest movement also. Some of my Sikh friends, because as I said, from my school, there was a Sikh community with whom I was very close to. So I sent the poem to them, and they were supporting the farmers' movement. But I don't think that I have given a solution to the farmers' movement, because today, let's say for farmers' movement, the government of India has made it so obvious that they don't care, that I think the farmers, the only thing they can do is seize the parliament. And if they do seize the parliament, there will be a civil war in India. And then we will be on the side of that violence is wrong and all this. That's this Gandhian principles of violence is wrong. Because you see, Gandhi operated in a theater. Now the farmers' protest is no longer in a theater today. It's in actual action. So what I'm trying to say is, so this kind of solutions I have not given. But these are in my mind. And some of the farmers' protesters have also said that the only thing they have left to do now is to seize the parliament. Now you know what would happen if the parliament is seized. People who are sitting and camping in Calcutta would fly off to Delhi and make an issue out of it. And new rules, new laws will come up against terrorism, against violence, against sedition, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but, I have questioned the parliament attack, that this was not the workings of terrorists, but the working of RAW. And there are documentary evidence to it. Today we feel that the media is sold out. The media was sold out in 2002 as well. We have the transcripts of Hindustan Times, what they reported 10 days back and what they reported 10 days after the government intervened. So we know all the problems, but the point is, solution, I don't know the solution myself. You see, because at one level I know that, at one level I look for a simple life, a melodious life, a harmonious life. At the other level, I'm a very hedonist person. Low tastes of life, food, woman, these are my loves. So what do you do with that? You know what do you do with that? Yeah. Hedonism is a kind of a irreverential philosophy with which you can't deal with. Hedonists and anarchists are the people who become turncoats the first, but yet create a lot of disturbance in the society. But yes, solutions, I don't think I have solutions.
I have one more. I find your writing very cinematic. That's the reason it really gives me a lot of impulse in creating the visuals. If someone asks you to write an entire screenplay of absolutely a new blank page movie, when and how we are going to, whether at all you are going to write it like that?
You see, I'm not good at writing a scenario, as I told you before, because I don't know the techniques of writing a scenario or a screenplay. If I write something as a scenario, I think I will write more of conversations, but the cinematic languages, etc., which 30 years back, fade in and fade out, we thought that we have learned writing what a screenplay is. But today things have changed. Yeah. So I don't know the tricks of writing a screenplay. So maybe conversations, yes, conversations I can write. Dialogues I can write, but not a screenplay.
Thank you.
If somebody writes the scenario, he can write the dialogues.
Yeah.
Like Salim Javed, that kind of.
Yeah. Abhishek, please fetch me a job like that. Yeah, somebody is asking a question.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. So I had a small question for the author. It is that you mentioned that a critic had once called you as a sexual pervert regarding your writing in Frosted Glass. So I would like to ask you, what is it that drives you to get into the deeper and darker psyche of human characters and write about them?
You see, that's my natural propensity or proclivity to touch upon the darker sides of life, and I also love reading dark literature. You may kindly sit down. Yeah. I also love reading dark literature. I also love watching dark movies, dark documentaries, or international TV series. So maybe I am exposed to, and I think about myself a lot. I mean, I'll tell you something. I'm a voracious reader. I'm a voracious consumer of visual content, music, theater, and so on and so forth. And why I do that, the simple reason is I want to understand myself. Somebody asked me, uniqueness of yourself. When I look at myself, I feel a lot of difference. I think, generally people, why am I not so romantic? That's a question that comes to my mind. Why is not that proclivity in me to be romantic? So, I want to understand myself. And to understand myself better, I take the help of the various forms of arts in various genres and formats.
Thank you.
Any more question? Yes, please.
Good evening.
Do you think I need it? I'm a teacher by profession, and I know how to throw my voice, apart from other things. Okay, Mr. Roy, you talked about disengagement, and then I would like to talk about Random Subterranean Mosaic, which I had the privilege of being your panelist, yes, and also Fractured Mosaic, which is the sequel. Now, you talk about writing in musings, and those musings are extremely delectable, what can I say, literary tapas of little ingestible, digestible, and I dare say appreciable nuggets. So you said that you were disengaged, and yet you have your, your finger on the pulse of the audience, which wants little bite-sized topics to delve upon. So how do you manage that, being disengaged from the audience, by knowing what the audience might want to read in small portions?
Well, the secret is out. I told this to Ruma something. While I was planning for Random Subterranean Mosaic, some of my friends told me that, why don't you write something small? Why don't you write something which we could read before bedtime? In 30 days, we'll read 3-4 pages of the book before going to sleep, and in 30-40 days, we can complete the book, complete reading the book. And after Random Subterranean Mosaic, many people did that and told me. So I thought that in today's times when the attention spans of people are very low, I would try putting or publishing my journals out in the public. That will be a way of, so to that extent, when I say that I do not engage with readers, that would be a wrong statement. I think Madhumontidi said it right. I write on my own terms. That is disengagement with if somebody wants me to write something, I will not write. I will write what I want to write, what is coming in my mind. मतलब मैं फरमाइशी लेखक नहीं हूँ, मैं नहीं लिख सकता हूँ. So yes, Ruma, that's very true that to this extent, I have also seen the same phenomenon happening in Fractured Mosaic, people telling me that, as Johorda himself said the other day, that it is easy reading this book. So while the topics are quite engaging or difficult or critical, but it is easy to read the book. So yes, to be lucid, I always wanted to be lucid. So to that extent, yes, I think I have reached some milestone in my life.
Yes. Yeah, there's a gentleman there.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Sabarna Roy. So basically, I personally think that while creating art, a person goes through a process of learning. So basically, I wanted to ask that what is the most surprising thing that you have learned while creating art, rather precisely while writing your books?
I have known myself very truthfully that I am this way, I exist this way. These are my angularities, which I would not otherwise know, that this is the way I am. It also happens when you engage with good work of good literary works, like Weight Loss by Upamanyu Chatterjee. It deals with sexual attraction for eunuchs. Immediately I felt, this is something which I have felt in my childhood as well. And eunuchs and transvestites. Now, in my childhood, when I never knew that there is a pornography existing on she-males, all right? So at that age, so I could immediately relate to the character of Bhola. So I found that I was no more engaging with a piece of writing. I was actually directly talking to Upamanyu Chatterjee, it felt. Or the reluctant fundamentalist, or Mohsin Hamid in Moth Smoke. So, whether you are writing yourself or participating in reading or consuming art, you know about yourself first before knowing others. You do not know others, but you know yourself. So that you are revealed to yourself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes? Yeah, there's a gentleman there.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to just, first of all, start with my perception with Mr. Roy's writing. I have found it in almost all of his writings that he's very passionate in how he expresses his views, and most fundamental is he's very passionate with words. Yet I find in the beginning of today's event that it was mentioned that he considers himself as a lazy author. So I would like to ask himself, why does he actually think himself to be a lazy author, and if it is so, then what are the perks and challenges of being a lazy author?
In fact, this is a very interesting question. I was also thinking about this, that we see one of the busiest minds in action, and that mind calls itself lazy. Why?
I don't go to the gym nowadays. I don't do morning walks. I eat a lot. As I said, low tastes of life, food and woman. Food comes first, woman later. So what can you say about it? If that guy is not lazy, who is? Somebody at my age, being a diabetic, with hypertension, not doing morning walks, not doing gyms regularly. He's a pathetic person. So he's a lazy guy.
Yes, and I think there is one more gentleman who wants to ask a question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I thought my turn will never come. Firstly, thank you, Sabarna, for such a lovely evening. And Shubhana Borsho in advance. Actually, I want to ask a slightly disconnected question. It's not related to the discussions or your writings. I would like to know from you, as we all know you as a great motivational person, apart from writing fantastic works. I would like to understand from you that in these trying pandemic times, what is an author's guide to us to counter the stress and the depression that many of us are going through?
Well, you see, this is a very daunting question, very difficult question, because as the second phase is coming up. Even vaccines are not working. Even patients who have suffered from COVID are once again suffering from COVID. These are very frustrating times. We are not able to live normally, and we don't know whether we will live normally again at all. I think one of the best ways is to engage yourself in some hobby, engage yourself in your relationships, and you would be lucky if you can build some new ones. But I think, you see, there is a process to become patient in your life. I think I was very restless 10 years back. In fact, in the first 2.5 months of the lockdown last year, I was very restless. I was also very restless because I had to do household work. So, yes, unlocking was to that extent some relief. But you know, you have to hold on to patience. And patience comes if you engage yourself in some kind of hobby, some kind of work, some kind of thinking. What more can I say? What more can I say?
Thank you.
Yes. Microphone.
Do you always look at women as giving you hedonistic pleasure? Is that the only engagement you have with them?
Oh, the feminist. Okay. No, not at all. If you read my works...
If you could please tell me what are the other facets of women you like?
You see, I like women who are powerful, who are independent, who can make their choices on their own. I think I have a wife who I feel is one of the most powerful women I have come across, ferociously independent. Well, she has given me a lot of pleasure, but at the end of the day, she's a great support to my ecosystem. If she becomes nervous, I definitely become nervous. So what I mean to say is, I give a feeling that Bangla jeta bola, I'm a loose character guy. I'm not that loose character also. So, but the point is, I like intelligent women, powerful, independent, and women who can make their choices in life. Yes. I don't know whether you are satisfied with this answer. No, not? Okay. So what do you want to hear? Tell me, You see, I'll tell you, there was a Czechoslovakian writer, Rabal, with whom he only wrote 2 novels and became world famous. He submitted himself to the... I never equate food with woman, saying that, well, I'll take a gap and say, but you see, on a serious note, I don't equate food with woman, not at all. People who know me personally would subscribe to that. But the point is, you know, you are the way you are. Of course, I would get attracted to women very easily, because of which 10 years back a woman told me, you must be a very dangerous man who falls in love so easily. You see, it's a problem. People are committed. I'm not committed. I don't have the passion for commitment. I'm commitment phobic. Do I have a space in your universe? I think I should have a space in your universe. I'm telling you truthfully. I'm also troubled with that. But you know, not so many people will tell you in the same breath, I suffer because of that. I suffer because of that. I suffer because I'm an atheist, because I don't believe in God. I don't believe in anything so strongly. I'm a very weak person. I can be sold out very easily. If you pinpoint a gun at me, you tell me to vote for BJP RSS, I might end up voting for BJP RSS. Although I have spoken all my life against the kind of hyperbole these guys are doing. So what I'm trying to say is I am a weak person. I'll get sold out. I'm not a communist soldier, you know. I don't want to be a martyr. Maybe the way Rabal did, he submitted to his communist bosses, and suddenly there is a mystery to his death, you know. He fell off from his 5th floor apartment. A brilliant novelist wrote only 2 novels, and that too not very thick ones. A brilliant novelist. Hedonism is a kind of irreverential philosophy, which even the powerful people fear. But hedonists themselves are very weak. They sell out very easily. That's my point.
They're more vulnerable.
Thank you.
Yes?
Yes, very good evening. I have no questions for you.
Okay.
This is
Only
just
answers.
an appreciation note from everybody who is present in this hall, and I take permission from everybody to allow me to just speak 4 lines for you, which would make you feel that your readers really like you.
Okay.
Even if you don't care about the readers never want that you should write on their terms. But when you are on your terms and the readers appreciate that, then they are your biggest fan, and you should appreciate that. So, jokes apart, let me appreciate this evening. अगर चांद की चांदनी कोई रोके, अगर चांद की चांदनी कोई रोके, न मेहंदी की खुशबू हवा लेके आए. अगर चांद की चांदनी कोई रोके, न मेहंदी की खुशबू हवा लेके आए, न सूरज हो जाहिर, न तारे जमी पे, तभी है ये मुमकिन तुम्हें भूल जाओ.
क्या बात.
तभी है ये
क्या
मुमकिन
बात.
तुम्हें भूल जाओ.
क्या बात.
Thank you very much for an interesting, loving evening. And I will say whatever I have learnt about you, if a single word is required, it is truthful. You are a truthful man, and you cannot be weak. You just need to understand yourself. You have all the power with you. Because a weak person cannot give the society and cannot live after he is dead. You are the person who will live in the dreams of many people. Many times when people are demotivated, they will get reasons to stand up only because of your writings. So thank you for being there for everybody, even when you are not there.
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you so much.
And I completely agree with him, because I personally feel if somebody has the courage to admit that he is weak, that means he is very strong. Otherwise, admittance, acknowledgement, acceptance, these are the very, very important qualities of a creative writer especially. Now, coming back to what Sabarna was saying.
My daughter wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, everybody. I actually had a question for the author, but it feels like it should have ended with that note of appreciation. But then my question is more technical to you as a writer. For the major part of the last 2 years, you've been writing, as many people pointed out, bite-sized thoughts, journals, journalistic thoughts and musings. And now you are moving on to write a play, which is essentially a longer form of writing and a more structured in a lot of ways than what you've been writing so far. So is there, as a writer, a process that you have to make that shift, or is there a way, or is there anything, any thoughts on that, like how you're moving from writing those to writing something that's more...
Yeah. This is a very, very important and a technical question because like I have written around 30 pages of process work, writing about the characters, situations, scenes, so that I'm ready before writing the conversations. Now I can see the things. You see, to that extent, I'm taking a big name now to prove my point. Orhan Pamuk uses a technique. He lights up a scene and then sees the scene from far and just imitates and copies the scene. So I'm in that process now. I've completed the process of creating the proscenium for the play to happen. The play will happen in front of my eyes, and I'll just copy and imitate it.
If I may, I have one more question.
Yeah, please.
And this is more about what you said about about your disengagement with your audience. So you are also a very avid reader, and you have read literature from all around the world. So as a reader, have you ever felt like an author or a piece of literature that you really liked or read, that you felt like a disengagement from the author?
Yeah, one name was taken, Beckett, and the other person is Coetzee. Coetzee never gives interviews. He's a Nobel Prize winner. He never gives interviews. He doesn't want to be photographed. Very rarely is photographed. When he came to the Jaipur Literature Meet, that he had to, in fact, there was a program for his interview, but then the organizers had to convince him for 2 days to come to the scene of the interview. So I love Coetzee, because, and there has to be something arrogant about creative people. They should not come out so easily. They should not come out so easily. That arrogance comes out of that meditativeness, that you see inward. When you close your eyes, it's not blind. It doesn't blind you. You're just looking inwards. That is arrogance. You see, words have been like hedonism, arrogance. These are words which have been corrupted by a lot of people. But arrogance comes out of meditativeness. Now just imagine if you called Buddha between his meditation, call him, hey Buddha, he would wake up and answer your questions. You would never remember him. That's arrogance. Silence is arrogance. So, yes, I think I have answered your question. Yeah?
Yeah. I'll just take a minute more. It was lovely that a daughter talking to her father, because the differentiation between a father and an author, I have seen first time in my life. So from the whole audience, let me give a gift to Dada. I think एक बाप का दिल अपनी बच्ची के सीने में धड़कता है. Would you agree to this? The most, of course, right? तो इससे अच्छा गिफ्ट एक ऑथर को हम सब मिलके नहीं दे सकते कि आपकी बेटी के लिए और हर उस बेटी के लिए जो यहाँ मौजूद है उसके लिए एक कविता जरूर होनी चाहिए. If I am given a permission.
Sir, if you have read all his books, you would find a very interesting section where there are conversations between a father and a daughter, and they are some of the most memorable parts of your book.
Then I think he's going to like the poetry a lot.
And please excuse us. Time is absolutely running away, and there are so many people here. So would you please excuse us? Thank you. Because this has no direct relation with this evening.
Thank you.
Yes, and I think we had a very, very engaging session with the audience. So I will read out one piece, and then I have one question. I had many questions, but now there is no time to do that. So, and then we will go on to the video essay, which is already there for for you to see. This is very much related to what we heard so far from Sabarna. This is called, the essay is called Networking. On a sultry October afternoon in Bombay, I was with my publisher and his chief editor at the coffee shop of rebuilt and refurbished after the 26/11 events, Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, while enjoying the foggy view of the Arabian Sea, the hordes of pigeons flying in and out on the adjoining cobblestoned roads, and the India Gate, along with the desultory conversation that was taking place inside. At one point, my hosts concluded with resignation. Sabarna, you do not network well. The worrying part is you hate networking, as is evident from your lifestyle. And this is not something good for an aspiring modern writer. I was stumped. I agreed with their viewpoint, but I was not willing to change my lifestyle. I'm a fiercely private person and suffer the agonies of isolated work of an author. I told them that the word author derives itself from the Latin word author, which means to suffer. Without sufferance, how was it possible to become a literary creative writer? They gave me many examples of young and middle-aged Indian writers who had become very popular. I uttered two names. One of the names was just uttered by him, J.M. Coetzee and Upabonnu Chatterjee. The chief editor butted in, but Sabarna, you are just not good enough as they are. I was absolutely defeated. Networking, the PR gurus say, is a great and edgy art. It requires constant socialization in all its forms, ready wit, charm, and a vivacious persona. It engages you completely because you are amidst powerful people of all kinds, and you should be able to carry yourself with varied types of people without committing yourself too much to any single point of view. And you have to avoid intensity, introspection, and self-doubt at all costs. By that definition, I do not know how to be powerful and be in the company of the powerful in a universe full of strangers. Yet, at the same time, I crave for readership and appreciation like any other writer does. I think this explains Sabarna to a great extent. And my question, and with that, we will end this conversation session. As he said just a few minutes back, that he suffers because he's an atheist, he suffers for this. Now, and also he said that he loves to explore the dark side of the mind. And do you think your sufferings, because I don't want to ask what are the sufferings, do you think your sufferings, this exploration of dark side of the mind, is a catharsis of your sufferings?
Yeah, it is. And I use the sentence or a phrase that, you see, I really feel all my troubles start from, even my creativity starts from the fact that at one level, I understand that I'm a very weak person. And yes, it's a catharsis. I think I can't say anything more than that.
Yes, I think rest of the, whatever, because I was very intrigued to ask questions, we will have it during dinner session. And now, let me thank Lead Start, the publisher, the Telegraph, the entire Marriott team who extended their unstinted support, and last but not the least, Shayantan Dashodhikari and Swati Chakraborty, especially Swati. Without her, it would not been possible to make such a huge arrangement and such a beautiful session. Thank you very much. And now, yes, and thank you, audience, for coming up with such beautiful, what should I say, interesting questions, very thought-provoking questions, and we got very, very clear answers and very candid. What I liked about it's very candid answers. There was no, as I said when he uttered that it's very difficult to admit that one is weak. It's very difficult to accept, and normally we don't want to accept our weaknesses. So that is great about Sabarna. Now, let's have the video essay, Mosaic of Death, which is dedicated to the author's father, and narration has been given by Sabarna Roy, and edited and directed by Abhishek Kundu. We'll have the video essay now.
They forgot to put my body on fire, on freshly chopped logs of wood, on oil cracking and boiling. They forgot the charm of cotton ball plugs, the sight of wetted white petals of fecund flowers, the absent-minded twirl of smoke chains, incense sticks, the sonorous trail of holy hymns, crackling sounds of earthen pots, and above all, the communal mourning around a corpse. Instead, they hurled me down inside a pit, laboriously excavated, dark and deep, and instantaneously covered it up with fast-setting slurry, with a slate of hands that can be defeated only by mystic magicians at work. So, I exist there, frosted miles below, from where you are waging your philosophical wars on trains against commuters struggling to reach their office on time, commissioning ecstatic cocaine soirees on yachts and rafts, executing orgies with strangers on a plane, stealing antiquity from private museums of novio billionaires. For you had once told me, I'll blow up my life, indoctrinating me with the scent of your body and introducing me to the nucleus of this explosive club, Death Rattle Clan. What holds me here is an intricate web of undefined silence and darkness, so pure in form in this marsh of soil, water, plant roots, and rotting flesh. You worry sometimes, don't you? Struggling in sleep? Do I remember your face and touch as I crossed over the perimeter of life? Do I know that your face is one among their faces? Do I remember all their faces as distinctly as I should? Do I remember our plot of blowing up our lives? Might I end up sharing it with a fellow corpse? Remembering and forgetting our complex phenomena even otherwise, more so after you have crossed the gate. Sometimes nowadays I will to laugh at our words, words crafted out of beliefs, mostly non-beliefs, yet preached with so much intensity, precision and timing, a way of time passing for all of us at this explosive club, Death Rattle Clan. Obitra Babu recounted this experience of his to me in his wood-panelled study on the New Year Eve of 2017. Until 4 years ago, he would regularly visit a small eatery on an extended branch of Sutter Street on Saturday evenings to eat a small meal of chicken steak on plate with sorted vegetables and French fries and hot bread rolls with butter. He would park his BMW in the parking area along the MLA hostel because he wanted to take a little walk, chat with Parashuram, a street beggar whom he happened to meet by chance one rainy evening when he was, instead of finding a shelter, persistently begging for some change from Povitra Babu. His doggedness attracted Povitra Babu because he appreciated doggedness in every profession. Povitra Babu loved dogs and doggedness in human character. One evening, Povitra Babu was feeling happiness swelling inside him. He'd actually signed a very profitable contract for his company after long and painstaking rounds of negotiations. When he met Parashuram that evening, he was looking patronizingly towards him, and he said with affection and warmth,
"Tell me, Parashuram, one wish you have that I can fulfill."
Parashuram replied immediately,
"Sir, I want to see the wonders of Kolkata in your air-conditioned car. The street walkers will be sweating off like hell, but you, your chauffeur and I will be delightfully cold in your sleek ship. Sir, only for an hour."
So Povitra Babu, having had his steak, took him around for 2 hours and not 1 hour, as was requested by Parashuram, setting the car temperature at 18 degrees Celsius on a very hot and sultry monsoon late evening, watching the delights of National Museum, Victoria Memorial, Racecourse, National Library, Second Hooghly Bridge, and Khidarpur Dockyard, well, all from the outside, sitting within the chilled confines of Povitra Babu's BMW. Next Saturday, when Povitra Babu returned, he did not find Parashuram around. So he inquired about him with the other beggars. They said the wretched old man had died 2 days back on the street, coughing blood and reeling under constant fever and throbbing chest pain caused due to pneumonia. Povitra Babu was thunderstruck and never returned to South Street area ever.
We don't feel like saying it's the end, but sometime it has to end because the time says that. But there is dinner, so if there is any interaction, it can happen over there. So in Rabindranath's language, Bashonar Shera Basha Roshonai. So with that, we will close this very, very exciting session, question and answer. And also, we're able to know a little bit about the inner self and soul of Sabarna Roy. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you.